we know that you are wondering, was Wonder Woman a wonder or a blunder? That totally wasn't worth the intro.
I don't know.
That was terrible.
It was a stinker.
I will say this. We will talk about that.
Yeah.
Because it's already a blunder of a
Yeah.
review. But anyway, yeah, we've been that way for a while because, this piece of shit is lazy as fuck. I was going to concoct some reason, but that's really what it comes down to. But today we're apparently not lazy, so we're going to actually talk.
Pretty lazy.
Okay, well, nonetheless, though.
Yeah.
Not so lazy that we're just stopping and not doing anything at all.
That's true.
But we're going to talk about Wonder Woman because, that's what we saw today.
Yep.
Now, you probably heard the buzz.
Oh, shit, I just noticed.
Yeah.
Themes.
Yeah, I was reeled into the merchandising scam that is every movie ever now. But, yeah, we probably already heard the reviews from, just about everybody on Earth that Wonder Woman is great. Do we agree? Do we disagree? Let's talk about it. What do you think? Overall impression. What did you feel at the end of the movie? Or at the beginning? What did you feel at the beginning, then at the end? Was it the same? Was it not? Did you want to punch the Guardian in the face?
Yes, that's pretty much the only feeling I had at the end of the movie is that I wanted to punch the Guardian in the face. And I don't know why.
Because he sucks.
It's true. I liked it.
All right, well, there you go. That's the top-notch review of the year.
It's pretty good.
I gotta say that I'm not with everybody on this one. Now I will go full disclosure here. I am one of the people, and you were too, that has liked DC's output up to now, the DCEU stuff up to now. We were not critics of it. I still think Man of Steel is the best thing the DCEU has done. I think that Batman vs. Superman director's cut is the second best thing. Not the theatrical cut. I can empathize with people not liking the theatrical cut. And I thought Suicide Squad was a fun blast of a time. I thought this one was lacking, actually. Surprisingly. I don't hate it. Let's just be clear. I'm not saying this is way better than a lot of Marvel's offerings.
Yeah.
But I didn't love it. But we'll get into that. Before it sounds like I'm fucking tearing this shit down and burning it. I'm not, but we'll get into that.
You hate women now? What's up with that?
Yeah. That's actually one of the things I hated about it, the women. No, I'm just kidding.
All right.
One of the things I hated about it is that it treaded so closely too many times to being preachy.
I don't think it did.
But it didn't get there. But it was moments where I was like, oh shit, it's getting there. And then it wouldn't. Like, it got to the point where, when they're in the trenches, and they're talking about no man's land, I actually expected the line, well, I'm no man, because I was like, damn, that's, kind of been feeling that one for a while. But it wasn't preachy because it didn't feel like they were beating into you, oh, this is a woman, hear her roar. No, I didn't feel that way. Mm-hmm. But there was stuff in there that was like, yeah, that's kind of dancing on that line a little, but it didn't get to Marvel Comics, as in the published comics territory where it was SJW stuff. It's not. So don't get me wrong on that, but there were moments where I
don't think it did because
it's a little overbearing.
Some of the stuff that was in there makes sense because of the time period.
It makes sense. Yeah, no, I know. I mean, there was misogyny and stuff, but
it's not like it's front and center or anything.
It felt fine. Like there were. I get that during that time period, of course, there was that, but it felt almost like they were being ham-fisted about it, like hammering it bluntly. Like, all right, every fucking single person on Earth, It felt that way at times for me personally. But it wasn't intended that way, which is good.
It wasn't.
Which is more than you can say for the Marvel published comics, where they're just hammering SJW bullshit down your throat. This was not intending to do that. But I do feel they did it a bit heavy-handed in stating... And don't get me wrong, it works for the storyline of Wonder Woman because she's so... There's a sweet... naivete to her, she's innocent, and it works with her story arc where she becomes much like her fellow Amazonians on the island, where they become more apathetic. They know they've experienced the world and they're apathetic to it, and that's part of what causes her kind of distance. Come to the realization about humanity, which is so important to the end conflict. So I get that it was there, and that's why I say it's not a criticism, but I definitely was like. Well, there it is again. but I understood why it was there. And again, I'm grateful that it wasn't.
Hey, she thought it was done well. It could have been something bad, but I don't think it was.
I'm grateful that it wasn't on purpose, like, or useless, or let's just shovel this in your SJW style. But it still felt a little bid heavy-handed for me at moments. But anyway, let's get to the meat of it. The actors is the first thing. What'd you think overall? Anybody you didn't like? Who did you like? Etc.
I thought everybody was fine in their roles. Gal Gadot or Gadot or whatever the hell you want to call it is, like you say, she's very likable.
Yes.
Not the greatest actress.
She's not the greatest actress,
but she really brings a charm to the role.
Mm-hmm.
Where a lot of the stuff that, like you say, a lot of that, I won't say heavy-handed because I don't think it was, but some of that stuff works because of how she plays the character.
Yes, precisely. I think you're spot on that. It works because of how charming she is, and how
important it is to
her
point of the movie, really.
You're absolutely right about that. She's a great lead in the sense that she has a presence, and it's a strong presence, not in the term of muscle-bound freak, but there's just something about her presence when she's finally manifested fully as Wonder Woman that you feel like there's this resolve, and it's a moral resolve, she's such a pure character that she's, in a lot of ways, she's more Superman than Superman was. And that's not a criticism of the Superman in the DCEU. That's just really, she's more Superman than Superman was because she's morally pure. Her intentions are 100% pure and sweet-natured, if you will, protective. So there's a very maternal quality about her. They even kind of make fun of it when she, she sees the baby and she's like, "Oh, a baby," honestly, I think some of that stuff wouldn't have worked were it not for her presence. As an actress, the way she portrays the character. Maybe it's because of her lack of 100% badassery acting skills that it kind of works,
I think it is, actually.
But she's pretty great. Everybody else was pretty great. I especially liked the little team that they cobbled together. They were pretty neat. I'm not gonna say I like. This is kind of the DC's equivalent of Captain America in a lot of ways, in terms of the subject matter and the, kind of taking it back to a war, a great war.
Yeah.
Not the same war, unfortunately, but yeah. I mean, obviously this one makes more sense for the context, but yeah, man, it was those characters that they teamed up with were pretty cool, and in some ways I liked them a lot more than I did the Howling Commandos, and in some ways I didn't, but
they're a lot more
they were more
sympathetic.
Charming. Yeah. They were more human.
This is one thing that, again, not to go back to previous reviews you've done, but if you want to, you can see them. I did say that I had a problem with the characters in Rogue One and the characters in Kong I didn't care for them at all. Mm-hmm. And this, they do a really good job of making you care for the characters in very little time, just by giving you all these little things that make them human.
Yeah, they're although I was on the opposite end of the spectrum to those two, I did like the characters in Rogue One and King Kong, and I thought they were developed in a particular way differently. I have to agree with you on this, on the same level, that these guys were introduced rather quickly.
Yeah,
but
really quickly.
But you got a good feel of their character. You got a good feel of where they were, what they stood for, and what they eventually stood for.
Really small things that kind of added to their characters.
Yeah. And you know what? It's interesting that you should say something like that, because I think it's those small things about them that ended up contributing to Wonder Woman being much more relevant than she really would have been by herself. Because it's their reaction to her. And not just them, like all the people in the trenches and stuff like that. That felt like a more Captain America moment than the Captain America war stuff, because when she goes out and she's taking all the fire, from the Germans, and everybody's kind of heartened by that, and they follow her, and it felt more of a patriotic, let's salute something here because that's badass type of moment than some of the stuff in Captain America, which treaded similar ground. But yeah, man, the characters really contributed to that. Chris Pine was a good foil for her.
Yeah, it was really good.
I thought a lot of the humor that they try to pull off in this. Well, we'll get on that, but I'll just say this real quick. I thought a lot of the humor that they try to pull off on this fell flat for me. It felt ham-fisted and super corny at times. Not all of it, but I thought most of the time when it worked because of Chris Pine's playing off of her. And so he did a really good job as a foil for her.
Yeah, I don't think there was that. There was like one moment where I was like, okay, this joke,
we'll get on that, but we're just talking actors right now. But we will get on that right now. But yeah, I thought he did a pretty damn good job of being sympathetic, giving her an anchor in the world, and giving her something to kind of show the range and growth of her point of view towards humanity, which is, I think, the strongest point of the movie. But anyway, so yeah, I guess we agree. Characters are pretty cool. Let's talk about the villain a little here. Actors and characters, now that we're talking about him. The villain, if you haven't seen the movie, well, we're going to talk about it. So probably if you haven't seen it, you probably shouldn't know. But I thought that switch to, it was kind of like a, haha, this is the bad guy kind of moment. And it was like, okay, that's kind of, all right. It fell flat for me, man.
Really?
Yeah. I was like, well, that wasn't either surprising or cool.
I don't think it was surprising, but I thought it was neat.
Yeah, I mean, when he, like, the actor himself and the character, well, let me say this. The actor himself was pretty fucking great when he first manifested himself as the revealed Ares. I thought that he did a fantastic job. It's the actual moment where I was like, all right, well, saw that coming a mile away, and it wasn't either cool or relevant to me at this moment. But the actor himself did a fantastic job. But we'll get to that moment right now. We're just trying to focus on the actors here. But there were the previous villainous entities that there was Lindendorf and Dr. Poison, or Dr. Mara.
Yeah.
What did you think of them?
I thought she was okay. That she was good. And the dude, I'm glad he wasn't the main villain.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't bad, but there was a moment.
I think I know what
you
moment.
You know the moment?
Was it the laughing?
Yes.
Fucking shit, dude!
That was the only moment where I was like, oh no.
That pissed me off, bro. Look, I'm going to be honest with you. Dr. Poison was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I thought she was a bit underused.
Yeah, there's definitely more they could do with it, but it was interesting enough.
She was kind of like a extreme Nazis type villain, even though these are not Nazis.
But there was like a sympatheticness to her.
Yeah,
also.
there was.
Yeah.
So I really wish they would have explored her a little more.
Yeah.
But she was cool visually and just in general she was kind of cool, and she played into the end portion, and I'll talk about that right now in a way that was kind of like weird for me, but I thought she was pretty cool, and the actress did a fine job. What's his face is Lindendorf. He was fine, and he had this is my major problem with it. He had a presence, but then there was scenes that would completely ruin that presence. The biggest, which was the fucking shared laugh shit.
That was not good.
Okay, so fucking shit. Okay. At this point, I'm digging them.
Let's do a disclaimer. It's very small, and if you're not a super picky guy, you probably won't notice it.
And here's the thing. I'm not a super picky guy. But this fucking scene, what the fuck was that?
It's literally like, what, like 2
a millisecond.
Seconds? Yeah, like not even.
So,
but it was definitely, I was like, oh no.
Yeah. Lindendorf basically is going to say, fuck you all in your armistice. I'm going to fucking blow everything up. And to show his defiance, he throws in some gas canisters into this meeting of the chancellorship of Germany. He throws some poison bombs in there, and we already established what the poison bombs do. Which, by the way, they don't do that to people later. That bothered me too. But anyway, they throw in
they don't really show it, to be fair.
When they land, they kind of do. But we'll get to that. But anyway, he throws these fuckers in there, and people are dying. And he throws a gas mask in there right before he closes the doors. And Dr. Poison says the mask won't do anything or something along those lines. And he goes, but they don't know that. And then they share this Dr. Evil laugh.
The share laugh. They do like
they do the little together.
That was...
What the fuck was that?
It would have been fine if he just threw the thing in and locked it.
I would have been really cool with him and and the masks do nothing, but they don't know that and walk away and keep that presence.
You know what would have even been cooler? Like if he had gone in there, done his, said his thing, and then left the mask on the table and like a gun, and then just walked out and freaking threw the kid thing in there. That would have at least been menacing.
Yeah, if he would have said nothing, would have been better. But
that little laugh was bad. Yeah. Very small, very, very small moments, but I was like, oh.
For me, I was again, I liked the movie, but I was experiencing moments like that. Not to that degree, mind you, but I was experiencing little moments where they would just knock me out of the movie, like, the fuck? And that was like the moment where I was like, what the fuck? That's literally in my head. I was like, what the fuck was that laugh? How do you leave? That sucked!
The laugh was not good.
But anyway, there was little moments for him where like it would like knock his character out of whatever menace he had accomplished. For me, that being the most notable.
I don't think so, because I never thought he was the main villain, because it's super obvious from the beginning. So I didn't really mind it. I was like, whatever.
Well, see, but even then, I mean, if we're gonna give the illusion to people that this is the main villain, and even if he's just and he is a villain, but see, that ties into the whole arcing theme where, in a way, we're all kind of villains, and there's that moral grayness about us, and because of our human moral grayness, Wonder Woman's morality stands out all the more. But he still should be villainous, and he was. But there was these little moments where, like during the ball sequence, the gala sequence, like when he just comes up to Wonder Woman, in disguise, incognito, and kind of sweeps her up, and she kind of like mouths off to him and just kind of walks away, like, wait for the fireworks. I was like, that's fucking lame. I mean, but whatever. I mean, it didn't bother me to extremes. But yeah, I felt he should be at least a little bit more fucking villainous and definitely lose the laugh. But he was fine.
I'll disagree with most of that, except for the laugh. The laugh was bad.
Yeah, that laugh was...
The laugh... Woo!
That laugh... Woo! Can't get over that laugh!
That laugh was bad.
Okay, so... still on the actors, by the way, I will say this. From the beginning, I was bothered by something, and the little girl that acted as a young Diana won great, and her teenage version won great, and I was kind of like, damn, they're kind of bad.
Yeah, I guess.
They weren't good.
Not really.
They were kind of shitty actresses.
I mean, it didn't matter. They were only in there for like a second.
Well, see, but that's the thing. They lasted pretty long on Thermiscrya, so, and they dedicated a good amount of time to her childhood. So I was kind of like, damn, could have picked somebody better. But little kids can't always. I mean, she's better than Jake Lloyd, so fuck that.
Yeah.
She wasn't terrible, but she definitely was not great. And her teenage version, although they're super briefly, wasn't great either. But whatever. But it did kind of like, I was kind of that kind of knocks me out of it for a bit. But whatever, I'm okay with that. But just worth mentioning, for me personally, that was my thought on that. But anywho, let's move on to the action. Now, before anybody says, oh, but Ahab, you must be a short attention span motherfucker. No, I love build-up. Build-up is really where the fucking meat of it is for me. I love build-up galore. I mean, I like Batman vs. Superman director's cut, which is like 10,000 hours of build-up and like 1 second of action. So I felt the build-up to this was kind of like hobbling along. So, contrary to my normal point of view about this stuff, I was kind of like, all right, well, we need to get to the action now because this isn't really solidifying that great for me. It's not shit, but it wasn't solidifying that great for me. So, when we do get to the action, I will say this. The action is spectacular. When she does move around and shit sometimes, like when she does her, mega leaps and stuff like that, it looks fucking fake sometimes. But it's not like the Hulk looks fake. It's just kind of like, well, that's...
I actually thought it was pretty good CG.
That's a CG person right there. But
it's obvious CG, but I thought it was pretty good.
But it looks good. It looks good, and the action is pretty fantastic. It's pretty amusing. I thought so myself. You did too, I'm assuming?
Yeah, well, I actually liked... I didn't mind the build-up. It was a lot of build-up. In fact, I was watching it, and I was like, man, the Guardian would fall asleep through this. Because he's a fool. But I actually thought the build-up made the actual action scenes more cool, more like they were really brief but really badass.
I guess that's what my problem with the build-up was. I didn't think they contributed to the action. I didn't think they go hand in hand. You know,
I think they did.
Because
Especially
they were
No Man's Land.
because they were all over the place. You know what I'm saying? Here she is in Thermiscrya. Here she is with this guy. Here she is now in London, and then we go into the, you know, her being, you know, in awe by her surroundings and kind of confused about things, and then some comedy here because she's a fish out of water, and then oh, let's get to these super serious meetings, and then her being disappointed, and then now let's get to the front. So it felt kind of, like I said, kind of like cobbled together until it. Now, if there was more, if there was much more of a, I mean, there is the link between the scenes.
I honestly thought this was some of the more natural feeling action, because usually in a hero movie, you feel like, okay, there's gonna be an action beat coming up, and there always is, and it's very like predictable. And I was like, well, at least the action makes sense.
Yeah, the placement is
where the story
fine.
Comes.
The placement is fine. The getting there was my main problem, because I was like, okay, well, kind of need the action now. But when it did get there, yeah, you're absolutely right. It came at the right spots, and it was fantastic looking. There is one thing that bothered me, though, about the action, and it's that everybody seems to shoot at just her like shield area, and sometimes there's like 10,000 guns out there, and there's like when the Germans land on Thermiscrya, and they're shooting at the Amazons. Like, hardly anybody's shooting. They're just kind of running. And every now and then you'll see a gunshot, but I was like, you could literally... I mean, 2 Amazons die, right? I think 2? Yeah, 2. But you're like, dude, these people they have guns. Why aren't they fucking shooting? They're soldiers. Why aren't they shooting? And it happened later, too. Like, I was like, damn, these motherfuckers ain't shooting for shit. So that kind of bugged me a little, you know?
I mean,
I'll be honest with you.
Pretty much every action movie ever.
No, but see, the thing is, it just bugged me, man. It really did. I realized how action works. You know, the guy, the main guy never gets shot, and if he does, it's on the arm. But there was, like, none of that. Like, nobody's shooting enough. They're on a fucking field of war. But the action was great looking. I mean, it was great looking. It was fun action. It looked fucking cool. Let's talk effects, where we kind of dabbled in it a little there. But overall effects, what are your thoughts?
Thought they were good.
Well, that's about as deep as that's going to get right there.
I thought they were good. There was very obvious, like, especially when she jumps or flies. Spoiler, I guess. That's obviously effects.
Yeah.
But it's not bad. I actually thought most of it was really convincing. I mean, you know it's effects, but it didn't look fake as shit.
Yeah,
for the most part.
It was decent looking. I get a lot more jarring because it is people versus, you know, a big green thing jumping around. So you go, well, that's an effect. You're right. It's an obvious effect, but it's not obvious to the point where you're like bugged by it.
No.
It's just kind of like your mind goes, that's effect. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Registers
like your forgiving meter that you have when you're watching the Hulk jumping around, freaking slamming dudes. You gotta forgive a lot of that fakeness. That's kind of gone because it's just dudes. And like I said, a lot of the buildup is very like slower. So when the effects do happen, you're like more sensitive to the fact that they're fake.
Yeah,
but they don't look bad.
Yeah, they don't look bad.
They look really good, I think.
There was one effect thing that did bug me. Here I go again. Sometimes the green screen was terrible. Like during the piloting sequences, or her just jumping up in the fucking air. Like especially in Thermiscrya, the green screen was sometimes pretty bad. You're like, man, that's super green screen. Wow. I was kind of surprised at that because, I mean, look at BVS and Man of Steel. I mean, that's green screen galore. And there's a lot of green screen in here that works, obviously. But there was something about some aerial shots. It was aerial shots, really, now that I think about it. That was like, whoa, man, that's pretty jarring. But, yeah, other than that, the effects are pretty damn cool. Pretty on fleek. I think let's just tie that to the visuals overall, and in terms of the aesthetics of the film, it keeps in line kind of with what Zack Snyder has pre-established. You know,
in fact, anybody who, I guess it's more with the action scenes, but anybody who complained about the action scenes and all and the look of Batman vs Superman, saying it's the worst thing ever, and then suck this movie's dick, can go to hell, because you could feel his presence in the action scenes is very stop and start, which is what people hate about Zack Snyder. Like, oh, it's so much slow mo. It's totally in this movie.
I will say the slow mo in this was way less effective than
if
Zack
anything,
Snyder's.
yeah, if anything, I'll give you that. It's good. It's really cool looking. But if anything, the slow mo in this is more bothering me a little bit more than anything Snyder's ever done.
Yes.
Especially in the beginning, in the little battle in the beginning where all the Amazons are jumping around and shit. I was like, that's a little too much slow mo. After that, I was fine with it. But during that opening scene, there was like, okay,
yeah,
a lot of slow mo going on.
I agree with you, and it wasn't.
It's not that it's bad.
It's not. No,
it's just that I'm sensitive to the fact that people are always shitting on Snyder doing it, but it's fine when this movie does it.
I don't get that. And I'm not sensitive to people fucking shitting on Snyder. I love Snyder. You know, I'm an unapologetic Snyder supporter. So there's that. But you know, he has a visual style. Yeah. You can't deny that. It's like Michael Bay. I fucking hate Michael Bay, but you can't deny that the man can direct action. You know, he directs shallow crap, but his action sequence. I mean, the man knows how. You may not like that action, like I don't, but he can direct action. He's a competent action director. Well, you may dislike or not like Zack Snyder, and you may think, oh, fucking slow-mo sucks. Well, remember when The Matrix came out and everybody was copying The Matrix? Yeah. And then everybody was like, oh, fucking The Matrix effects suck. Well, you know, Zack Snyder brought this slow-mo kind of like revolution when he started doing it. But he's a fucking artist with that shit. He knows how to make it look badass.
And there's a lot of moments in this that do look
badass. Yeah. There's plenty of stuff that looks
like,
badass.
I'll say after the opening... Really, I only had the problem within the opening scene because it was like every second. But for the most part, every time they use slow-mo after that, it looks really cool.
Yeah, it looks cool. It's just, like I said previously, it doesn't reach the stature of cool looking that Zack Snyder achieved. But
well, it's because Zack Snyder has a very visual, like, he uses colors very well.
Yeah, Zack Snyder's making living comic books. Yeah. So, you know.
This kind of feels like that, only with the
like
Zack
Snyder light. Yeah, in terms of style, yeah. But
and from what I hear, he was heavily involved, so
yeah,
you could feel it.
So yeah, the visuals keep in line with what's established, and when they don't, it's in the important places like Thermiscrya, which is supposed to be separated from the world anyway. So it makes sense that they don't visually bond with the world until they're out of that world, and then you know. So that was nice to see that they still keep that consistency. That's at least visually exciting. Yeah, you could say Marvel does the same thing, but their shit is so bland looking. Yeah. It's consistent but bland looking. You know,
I think they did a good job of showing the shittiness of the world. I mean, obviously they're not gonna show like a dude's freaking guts pouring out or something. But when she's out there and she's seeing all the like shit that's happened because of the war, it's really well done because it's really well done because it fits with the tone of the other DC movies. But since she's kind of new to the world, you're seeing it through her eyes. Okay. So it's less.
Yeah, I agree.
Like you're seeing all this like bullshit going on, but she's like really affected by it, and it really works.
Yeah, and that I think that was one of the biggest strengths of the movie. It was in pointing out, I should say, in underlining the poignancy of its theme and how it affects the hero. Yeah. You know, it really, really did take us from good guy, bad guy. You know, at the beginning in Thermiscrya, you know, our hero Chris Spine, he defines himself as the good guy, and those are the bad guys, and it's very black and white, and that makes sense to Wonder Woman.
Yeah, that's something I like about the movie, that it's not that.
Yeah, and I mean, and that's so relevant to her character because, as previously stated, when she finally comes to that realization, not only is it pivotal to the decision she ultimately makes at the end, but it's pivotal to make her stand out as a truly upright and moral hero. You know, like I said, more Superman than Superman. You know, she lives in a gray world, but she's a shining light, literally. And that works out wonderfully. I think they did fantastic with that. Now let's talk some things, and I'll get your point of view on this. The humor. This has a lot more humor than, I'd say, even Suicide Squad. They attempt more. Suicide. Yeah. It does, because the Suicide Squad humor was expected, because these are villains, and you know, and they're playing
kind of built around it.
Yeah. And but it was a different style of humor. This was more kind of like humor playing off of character.
Yeah.
And so what did you think about the humor overall? And let me just point out that the majority of the humor was kind of like fish out of water humor, playing on her naiveness about the world.
I thought it was fine. I actually thought some of it... none of it was... Alright? None of it was funny, like hilarious or anything. But... like you said, Chris Pine plays well off of it. I thought he kind of saved a lot of it. The only humor I wasn't a huge fan of was when they go to London and she's trying on all the dresses, and I was like, okay.
I kind of liked it. You know why I like the dresses humor? Because that's the one time where I kind of didn't feel. I kind of felt that the whole women is the underdog thing was humorously approached in the right way, which is, you know, it's silly that we think that a lot of people think women are inferior. It's so silly that we hold them to these beauty standards, and they kind of played with that, and they played it in a whimsical fashion. I just
thought the scene went on too long.
It did go on too long. I will agree with you.
It was fine, but it just went on a little too long.
I will agree with that.
And it wasn't bad. I thought it went too long. But other than that, I think it was good. It didn't feel, to me at least, it didn't feel like it was like, oh, we have to put humor in this to make it good, to make people like it. Like, there is humor moments, but there's also a lot of kind of down and very dramatic moments. So I didn't feel that it made the movie any worse or any better. I thought it kind of fit, and Chris Pine was really good with it, so I thought it was fine.
Yeah, the majority of the humor takes place in the first half of the movie.
Yeah.
And, I mean, rightfully so. There's chances for humor, her exploring a world she doesn't know, etc. Her
Gal Gadot's like way of playing again works.
Yeah, her sweet, you know, kind of naive charm works incredibly well with the humor. I did find some of it super hammy and super corny at times, and some of it went on like you know, the sleeping scene. You know,
I thought that was fine.
It was fine, and then it just kept on going, and I just felt that some of it was a little hammy and a little cornball. I didn't feel it was forced in there, but I did. But it had its place, and I'm glad it didn't continue throughout the fucking movie.
It wasn't like Doctor Strange, where it was
where it felt completely out of place. Yeah, it was just kind of, at times I felt it was corny. At times, me personally, but yeah, it was fine. You know, it was cool. I'm gonna talk about this scene. Bugged. I just remembered this scene. This scene bugged the fuck out of me when I first saw it. It's later explained, but when I first saw it, it bugged the fuck out of me. And that's when Lindendorf is conferring with Dr. Poison about the fucking, you know, mustard gas that she's making, and she didn't get the formula, and she just needs more time. And
you know, that is explained later.
Here, I made this for you, and he kind of sucks in this you know, gas that kind of strengthens him up a bit. I thought that was kind of corny too, but whatever.
It was a little corny.
It's all right. Then this wind gust just happens to, and it doesn't seem like a purposeful wind gust. It just seems like,
no, actually, once it is explained later, you're like, oh, I see.
Yeah.
But when it happens, you're like, huh?
Yeah, you're like, the fuck? You're telling me right now that this chick threw away this fucking plot?
I see your point, because in the scene she just picks up this crumpled paper and goes, "Oh, I got it now."
Yeah, I have it now.
But it makes sense later. But
it makes
in the
sense
moment,
later.
You're like, serious?
It does make sense later. They do explain it, and at that point, I was like, okay, that's one less thing I have to be worried about. But I still think they could have done that a bit. Maybe not so quick. Maybe like You know,
Yeah.
maybe not even the gusto was. Oh man, that was weird. It felt weird, even when it was explained. It kind of felt.
I don't think
weird.
there was a gusto one. I think she just reaches for it.
No, there's like a little.
Because I remember being like, she just reached for that paper for no reason.
They move, and she picks one up, and she goes, "Oh, I got it." Like that immediate realization is like, what the fuck? And it is explained later, but it's still fucking weird to me. But anyway, whatever. You know, at least they explained it, I guess. It was pretty weird, though. Had they not explained that, that would have been up there with the...
not that bad.
But for me, anyway. But there was another scene that did bug... I'm just full of fucking criticism
what's
today.
up with that shit? I think you're more critical because we're used to DC being really good.
Yes. Yeah. That's a good point.
Like if any of this stuff was in Marvel, you would have expected it and been like, eh.
Yeah, really. I would have, because, Iron Man 3 as a whole sucked. But anyway,
turd one.
Yeah, man. There was another scene that bothered me, and it's when they're sneaking into Ludendorff's gala, and of course Wonder Woman doesn't want to be left behind. She wants to be a participant in this, and
the lady.
Yeah. What the fuck was that, man? Okay, like so the Chris Pine's character sneaks in, okay, and he does in German attire, and it's already kind of a stretch that his driver is an obvious Ottoman guy, But all right, Germans were weird people, and they're working with the Ottomans, so, it's okay, maybe the chauffeur was an Ottoman guy. And it's already kind of a stretch that the guy would buy him, but you buy that stuff. That's part of the movie experience. You buy that, all right, go ahead, you're just bugging me now. You buy that. But then Wonder Woman wants to get in, and let's not forget that she can scale walls, but whatever. She wants to get in. Okay, she's not wearing the proper attire, so there's this hag in a carriage that, is desperate to get in, so she, for some reason, marches out and into the wooded area, which is in plain sight. Wonder Woman comes out and says, "What's up? Let me get that clothes from yous," basically. I mean, she doesn't say that, but, next time you see her, she's in the lady's clothes. But you still have to go, how did she get in? Did she get back in the carriage and the guy somehow not notice that that's his ward? What the fuck was that? That bugged the shit out of me. But anyway, whatever.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, there was too much time for me to see instances like that. I'm extremely forgiving of movies. It's about getting swept into the feel of it. I do like this movie. I like it a lot. I just find it really odd that this is the one they picked to champion. Oh, fucking DCU. This is the shit right here.
I don't. Women.
Yeah, the SJW movie probably had a lot to do with it. Not that the movie's not good. The movie's deserving of accolades. But this is the one you champion? You've had plenty of times over here to fucking champion.
Honestly, like, when I was watching it, I was like, maybe it has to do with the fact that, we've seen in recent times Batman vs. Superman's gotten a cult following, and a lot of people are re-examining it. I think maybe some people realized that they were wrong and were changing their opinions for this movie. Then again, the woman thing had a lot to do with it, I think. I really like the movie, but it sounds like I like it way more than you. But it's not DC's best.
It's not. It really isn't. And it's odd that
it's better than most Marvel movies.
Oh yeah.
But
just to make this clear,
not.
I liked the movie. I really liked the movie. It was a great time. It was fun. It was a blast. Is it DC's best? In my opinion, no. Everybody's going to disagree with us, but we're always here to tell your opinion. You don't have to agree with us. You can disagree with us. It doesn't matter. But honestly, yeah, I don't see what all the massive hubbub was about. I see the hubbub because it was fucking cool. It was great.
It's just that how much the other two got shit on.
Yeah, in comparison,
that is confusing. Why this one's the one that doesn't get shit on.
Yeah. So anyway, all in all, the movie is a great continuation of the DCEU. Hopefully, we'll get to see. Hey, just before we cut away,
we don't have that technology.
I saw somebody say that it was great that they didn't place this in the time of in the settings established in the previous movies. It is, first of all.
Yeah, it is.
And second, this is an origin tale, a necessary origin tale, by the way.
Yeah, it is.
Why would it be in the... I don't understand that criticism, but anyway.
I actually thought that, like, at this point, we're pretty much... Everybody's tired of origin stories, right?
Yeah.
I actually thought this one was not needed, but welcomed. because it was cool, and I was like, okay. And not everybody knows Wonder Woman.
Yeah,
so
this would be the character.
this would be one of the ones to do an origin.
You know, as iconic as Wonder Woman is, she's not, one of the most widely read. Everybody knows her, but not everybody's reading the comics. Let's face the facts here. I read Wonder Woman in the 90s. I've never read anything from the 80s, 70s, or above, and I haven't read it since the early 2000s. That's my knowledge of Wonder Woman and what I read in, comics dictionaries and stuff like that. That's it. And I'm a comics fan. So yeah, it was a necessary origin movie, and it really fits in place.
It really fits into the themes that were explored in Man of Steel and
the gap between gods and men.
If anything, I'll say that this does more for the people in the worlds in the DC universe than her. I mean, obviously her is very important, but it kind of like shows more the people side.
Yes.
Of the universe.
Mm-hmm. And I think maybe one of the big critics.
And it's very bleak, by the way. That's another like the people. In the world. Obviously, it does a Batman vs Superman towards the end with her and kind of like finding a new meaning, but it falls in line with Batman vs Superman, what it set up.
I think the problem with I think one of the problems people felt with the other movies was that they didn't self-identify in them because it focuses on the gods, so to speak, which is Superman and Batman.
And people are just kind of shown as
this is an arching theme in all these movies, including Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
The relationship between gods and men, that gap
honestly,
getting tighter.
I thought it was so clear in Batman vs Superman. The fact that people miss that is crazy.
Well, yeah, I mean that's a whole argument of its own, but I think that created a distance for some people. They didn't see themselves in it. And I recently had a discussion with somebody in a thread about this because they were arguing the need for like characters that get you into the story. And I'm like, well, apparently fucking people need them because they can't just jump into something.
And I will say Chris Pine was a very good character for that because he's kind of on the edge. Like he's like kind of beat up, but he doesn't want to give up, So I thought he was a good character, as they say, because he's he's clearly been through some shit. Like every time he starts talking about how bad people are, he gets very emotional. It's really well done.
Really, exceptionally well done. It really, he really was the perfect character.
Yeah.
In that, a lot of us, I think, are that way now. We see the way the world is, and we're kind of like beat down.
Yeah.
And just kind of apathetic to it. But we reserve some hope nonetheless. And he was that guy. Yeah. He was on the verge of apathy, but he had hope and he needed to cause a change. And I think that resides in most of us. And so he was an excellent character. But yeah, you're absolutely right. This movie shifts a lot of the focus, despite it being Wonder Woman the movie and her being at the forefront. Yeah, this is really about the people and it's how they make the hero.
How the people, how her little team kind of inspire her to be that way.
And because of that, vice versa, she inspires them.
Again, I don't want to say it's similar in structure, I guess, and ideas to Captain America. Only it's well done. I like Captain America, but it's not a good movie.
It's not great.
This is like Captain America if you actually cared about the characters, and the movie had an impact on the series, basically.
Yeah.
Like
really.
Captain America, you can forget about it, other than the fact that there's a cube.
An interesting thing, a lot of people criticize, why does Lex Luthor want a picture of her and this and that? Okay, well, that aside, this gave emotional relevance to the photograph. Why does she want it back? Yeah. A lot of people are like, well, why would she go out of her way to go get this picture back? Well, now you know, motherfuckers. And let's not forget that they've been planning these movies for a while.
God forbid you think ahead.
Yeah, God forbid, man. There's emotional heft to why this picture is important to her. And on top of that, we know because of the events of this movie that she not necessarily was a recluse, but she kept distanced herself for a while because of what she experiences from humanity. So there's many a reason given here why that picture is relevant, but that's beside the point. God forbid, you should think ahead. One more thing, let's talk about Ares real quick. What you think? Ultimately, the fight, the ultimate Ares in general, what that meant, how it carried out with the fight, what it meant to her. What did you think?
Well, like you said, the twist, I guess, wasn't really surprising. I thought it was neat, but like the way they did it, I could see you're not disappointed. I don't want to say you were disappointed, right?
No, I wasn't disappointed.
Yeah, like your ness to it.
Mm-hmm.
I could see that because it is there. I want to go back a little bit. There is some stuff in the movie that has to have, like, it feels like it's supposed to have a certain feel that you're supposed to feel, feeling that you're supposed to feel, and it just kind of doesn't.
Yeah,
and it's a little off. It's not bad at any point, but like that moment, I was like, okay,
yes,
this is neat, but that okay. I didn't really.
Yeah, there are several moments. That...
a few of the humor scenes have that, but I don't think it's bad. Maybe it's just we didn't feel that. Obviously, other people did, but there was a few moments where I was like, okay,
yeah, I'm
supposed to feel something here, obviously, and I don't. But anyway, that's besides the point. I do like his motivation behind it. Thought it was cool.
Yeah, he was pretty much like a Luciferian character.
Yeah,
basically.
It was really neat.
Here's the thing, though, and I don't know if you thought this when he was, I guess, unveiling his motivation for everything, which again, to a comic fan, should be sort of clear. And if you just see the movie, you're pretty much going to be like, oh, that's what it's about. But at the end of his motivation, I was like, he's kind of the fucking hero. He really.
Yes, exactly. Which is why I liked it so much.
Yeah.
He like, you totally understand his point.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn, he's freaking a good. Like, that's when I was like, that's a good villain, because you're like, this could easily be a hero.
Here's what's interesting about that. Now, I'm glad you agree with me on that, and I don't know if you'll agree with me on this. And yes, you're right. That's exactly what makes him good, that you could see his point of view.
Yes.
And considering that humanity is being painted as morally ambiguous and morally gray, not black and white, but just like, man, we could be anything.
And again, fitting into the theme of Batman vs. Superman, how they hated Superman at first, and then at the end they love him, and they're just very easily fooled.
Yeah. So seeing as humanity is being painted this way, and basically as a blight, a stain on the earth, and here are gods, again, continuing with those themes from the other movies, here are gods that could literally wipe the slate clean. But then you see the vision that he has, and as rebellious and selfish as he might be, it's all just to restore harmony to what was. And you can empathize with that. Here's the thing, though. When he finished this little spiel, I was like, I kind of want him to wipe out humanity now. And here's what I didn't get, though. And yeah, this ties into your thing where there's moments where you feel like you should have felt something, but you didn't. When she sees her would-be lover explode up in the air because he self-sacrifices, which was great, by the way.
Yeah, really
when she sees that and she like busts out and she's like, and she kicks all this German ass.
That was really cool looking.
For some fucking reason, it was. For some reason, Ares is like convinced that he's still swaying her, even though she's kicking ass and on the German side. Okay, but he's made a good damn point. Yeah. We know this. We, the audience, have been swayed by this a little. So what I didn't get is her. I mean, it was portrayed that way, so I don't see it any other way. Her ambiguity about her decision. She just saw this dude self-satisfied. She knew. We even had the flashback to clarify that. We didn't need that flashback, but there it was. I
thought it was a nice little...
I just don't get why she would be ambiguous about it. Why would there even be a pause? It should have been like Ares gloating about, haha, I'm confident. He's confident. Haha, I've lured her. This is our destiny. We're going to kick some ass here. And she should have just been like, man, fuck this. But for some reason, she pauses... And I get.
Oh, you mean with yeah? I get it.
And there's a beauty to that pause because there's Dr. Poison, who is a fucking venomous motherfucking bitch.
I think it was just more of a stylistic. I don't want to say stylistic choice. But
it was an odd choice. Yeah. I get why it was there, and there was that beauty to that moment where she spares this villainous woman. But there should have been absolutely no pause. She's already decided right there. And if we didn't know that already, that flashback told us. I mean, duh. But that was odd to me, that pause. Yeah. But yeah, overall, fucking badass. But
I think it was just, I guess, I could see your point. Like, she already made up her mind. Like, why is
why is she pausing?
Maybe because, it's like a face of pure evil. I don't freaking know.
It was an odd choice.
I thought it was I mean, in theory, it's a nice moment.
In terms
but
of
when you think about it, you're like, oh yeah, that kind of doesn't make sense.
In terms of the themes they're exploring with Wonder Woman in the movie, it makes perfect sense for her to have that moment for that person.
Yeah.
But maybe that moment should have been spared for after she kills Ares.
Yeah, or like maybe if that character was a lot more hateable.
Even then, I mean, look at what she did.
Or like if she did like something really bad to her.
I mean, she was an evil piece of shit, but by then she decided that humans can be both. Yeah. And she doesn't exactly know, and her job is not to judge. So really, what needed to happen, in my opinion, was she should have just immediately destroyed Ares the moment he even suggested the idea.
Yeah.
And then, here's this woman left over, you know, who was in league with this guy, who was in league with the devil, so to speak. Then she should have had that moment of like, all right, now you're spared. You know what? You're spared. And that would have made it all more... But that pause at that moment was a little strange to me, personally.
It was a bit long, and I think it makes you think stuff like that.
Yeah, it makes you think, what is she... How is she still thinking about this? She just...
I thought it was a fine choice, but when you really think about it, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
And it was a bit long, the pause.
But
I actually thought the Ares fight was really cool.
Man. It sounds like I hate this fucking
what the hell, dude.
You
complained a lot less of all the Marvel movies.
Here's one thing that also bugged me. We pretty much got a feel on her because we know that from comic to comic, their powers can fucking change on a dime. And we know that from comic to movie, their powers can change and their origins can change. So as comic fans, we're used to that. Mm-hmm. So we generally know Wonder Woman's powers, but we also know that they get it at a dime change. You know, like Deadpool is not the same powers and skill set that he has in the comics, the movie, etc. So here, you know, we kind of see all the power we generally feel she has or know she has. And we get a good feel for that, the reach of those powers. But after she's pissed and you know, and enraged and kind of reinvigorated by the death of her love, she busts out of the of this metallic binding that she's been placed in, and she's fucking pissed. So basically, it's like unleash the fucking beast, right? And we already know that she's like this secret god weapon, and you know, but all of a sudden she's like, what the fuck? How is she like impervious to bullets all of a sudden? Like bombs, not even bullets, you know. Like he literally launches fucking bombs her way, and there's a fucking force field around her all of a sudden.
I think the whole point was that her full power was reached.
Yeah. I mean, that's
because I mean they teased it earlier. Like she gets shot in the arm and it heals really fast.
Yeah, I mean I got the point. It was just kind of like, whoa, okay. I guess she's like super fucking man times 10 now, and that's kind of weird because now maybe this falls or chimes in perfectly with this. She is more Superman than Superman, which I kind of like. You know, it's time for Superman to be a little flawed. It's time for Superman to be shucks. This woman has embodied Superman in a much better way than Superman has, but I'm perfectly fine with that because I love the Superman of Man of Steel and BVS. So hey, I'm cool with that. I'm cool with this Wonder Woman being Superwoman, basically. But anyway, in the end, yes, I really liked the film. It was pretty fucking cool. I'll give it an 8 out of 10. What's your final score on it?
A 8 out of 10, apparently. Hating on the film.
No, don't hate it. I'm just being honest.
I liked it a lot. I do think it was, I'm not going to say slow, but oddly paced at points. But I like that stuff. But I could see someone being like, all right, hurry up. Especially, you know, the Guardian probably fell asleep through it.
He has been oddly silent about the movie.
Yeah, and he saw it before us.
Yep.
But I really liked it. It's definitely not DC's best. I would say, I don't know if it's my least favorite of theirs. I liked it more than Suicide Squad. Barely. So I'll give it like an 8.5. It was I really enjoyed it. But I could see some of your points. But I liked it. I don't understand why everybody's freaking
Yeah.
sucking this one's
It
dick.
deserves the accolades. It deserves all
Yes,
that stuff.
But
I just
the
don't
fact that
understand.
the other ones got shit on.
Yeah, all these other fuckers got shit on. And this is the
I
one.
understand Suicide Squad. I understand people not liking Suicide Squad because of its style, and its weird pacing or weird edits at times.
Mm-hmm.
I understand someone not liking the theatrical cut of Batman vs Superman. It does not deserve a 24%.
Not at all.
But I understand not enjoying them or not liking the movie. But Man of Steel is great. I do have a few issues with it, but it's great. The extended cut is a freaking masterpiece in my mind of Batman vs Superman. Suicide Squad is fun as shit, and this is really cool. I would say it falls somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. But anyway, we're probably gonna get hated for that.
Yeah.
But that's all right because
Well,
that's our opinion.
I'm sucking its cock. It's just
Yeah.
it's not the best movie they've done.
Yeah. So tell us what you think. How wrong are we? How stupid are we? Whatever.
Better than most Marvel movies?
We don't give a fuck. Just let us know. What's up?
Apparently not.
Oh yeah, better than most Marvel movies for sure. But anyway, not that we hate Marvel.
No, we like Marvel. It's just
yeah.
we're not blind to their freaking bullshit sometimes.
Yeah.
Iron Man 3?
Yeah. I mean, I'd rather watch Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2 than Wonder Woman. So there you go. There'll give you some perspective. We're not being biased here. But anyway, that's been our thoughts on Wonder Woman.
It's incredibly long.
Incredibly fucking long, but whatever.
The Guardian sucks.
Yeah.